We were raised by a single mother. When I was about 4 years old, our house burned down. Insurance didn't cover paying off that mortgage. So fortunately, my mom was a nurse and she was able to work a ridiculous amount of hours, some 80 hours a week, and pay off that mortgage while still finding us another place to live. So I've been fortunate to have a lot of really good role models in my life. Obviously, my mom being at the top of that list. Okay. When all is good, why rock the boat when my child support's low? Yes. Okay. We know who it was filed by.
She always very passionately said, I'm going to be an attorney. And she'd look at me with dead set eyes, and I 100% believed her. And not only just becoming an attorney, but actually being a good attorney that is going to make a difference. Erin's passion sets the bar for everyone else in our office. So we're at home on a Saturday night, it's 8 o'clock, Erin's phone starts buzzing. It says a lot of our staff who's feverishly working to prepare for the cases that we're going to handle that next week. They share Erin's passion, and it's contagious, and it's been spreading through our firm.
All right, thanks for staying so late. All right, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye. I love doing family law. I feel like I really help people every day. I feel like we really make a difference for people, and I feel like families are benefited from the work we do. I started this firm with $2,500 in my bank account, and in the course of a year, I've helped over 200 families find a way to get through the turmoil that they're experiencing. I'm Erin Morse, and I'm here to help your family find your new normal.
What should I do?
What should I do?
What should I do?
What should I do?
What are my rights? What are my rights?
What are my rights?
A legal course of action.
A legal course of action.
A legal course of action.
A legal Morse of action.
All right, welcome back to a brand new episode of Legal Morse of Action. This is Patricio, and as always, I'm joined by let her clear her throat, Erin Morse. How you doing, Erin?
You know, I'm mediocre today. Today, it's average.
I was ready to pull the plug right before we even started the show.
I don't want to go there. Thank you.
So I'm not even going to ask you how you doing. Not going to ask you how you doing. But how you feeling?
Mediocre.
Mediocre?
Yeah.
You ready to jump into some questions, Erin?
I suppose I am.
All right. All right, guys. First question coming up.
I have to, don't I?
I know. We'll do a quick one today. We'll definitely do a quick one. If your spouse lied about having a trust and gets proven in trial that he had a trust, what can happen?
You could ask for a pause in the proceedings for evidence of that to come forward. You would use his financial affidavit to allow proof of that he in fact lied, and you would go forth with again, pausing, make your record, make sure you brought a court reporter, and that you ask the court to stop the proceedings so you can get that evidence. And once you have that evidence, then you would go back to trial, and you would also file a motion to have him sanctioned if you thought you had a good basis for it.
I always hear that term in film, like, sanctions and what are sanctions?
Bad person. Usually attorney's fees.
Okay.
Attorney's fees is the only thing that really kind of matters, but a lot of times there can be other negative inferences if you're sanctioned in a specific way. And one of the things that could happen under that circumstance is that you could have their pleadings stricken. So if you can find a good basis for that, you obviously follow the law on it, that's what you could do.
Cool.
Have their pleadings stricken so that they don't get to really put on as powerful of a case. So, let's put on.
She's multitasking right now.
Whatever. I always am.
All right. Thank you for that question. Next one. So let me do a little follow up on that one. Like, how often do you catch like either a witness or opposing party, like they done effed up and like you just caught them in a lie?
It happens a decent amount that I'll catch them in a lie. But it's not, we're not in a court of punishment like a criminal court, right? We're in a court of equity. So the fact that they kind of told a lie or lied to their spouse or fibbed doesn't have a lot of always as much power as you think it might, although it could, right? It could lead to some other like conclusions by the judge, but the judge just on the basis of a lie on this or a lie on that isn't going to be like, well, everything they say is a lie then. That's really not how that works. They're not like, well, suddenly you're a liar. Were you lying then or are you lying now? Like, no one does that. It's.
So there's no motion to expose pants on fire?
Right. Yeah. No pants on fire motion. It's really about figuring out what actually is the truth, and leading the court to that conclusion, right? Their personality and their character, especially when it comes to financial issues, doesn't matter to anyone.
All right. Next one coming in. Can I file divorce in my home country other than USA?
Not if you don't live there, unless their laws say something different. But you couldn't live in Canada and file in Florida. That I can answer for you.
Okay. Loud and clear on that one. Let's see. The next one coming in is, here we go. We are getting a divorce, but my name is still on deed and loan. Do I have any rights on who stays there?
Yeah, you own the house. You're a homeowner. Yes, you have the rights of a homeowner.
Wow.
Yeah.
Simple answer right there.
But, what are you actually going to do, right? So you'd have to file to have someone removed or ejected, an ejectment action, right?
Yeah. I'm just agreeing with you because it sounds like you're telling me that that's what's going to happen.
I mean, that's what you'd have to file. So go ahead and go do that. I mean, I can't do it in a family law case. I'm not like, motion to have husband's girlfriend removed from the house. Like, I can't do that, because he is also a property owner. And guess what that means? Hear me out.
What does that mean, Erin?
He has rights to the property and he can say who gets to stay there.
I feel like I should have like the soapbox ready to go right now because you're about to throw it down.
I know. I'm mean today.
All right, next one coming in. What if my ex won't abide by a motion to compel regarding his income?
We go through that sanctions thing we just talked about, right? So it would be compel, then it would turn into a court order. You'd get contempt. Then the next time you have their pleading stricken and you move forward with getting implied orders, or you would ask for the information directly from his employer. But the quicker way is just subpoena it.
Okay. Now
you can spend all this time punishing him, or you could just file a subpoena.
Now there have been instances where we've sent out a subpoena to an individual, and then they call us and they're like, "Well, I don't know who this is. I don't know what they want me to do." Like, do they get in trouble for not showing up, or like what's the process at that point?
Does who get in trouble for not showing up?
The witness that you subpoenaed.
Well, that's if we subpoena witness. What I was just talking about would be subpoenaing documents.
Oh, okay.
But yes, they could get in trouble for not showing up if they're properly subpoenaed and it was properly served.
Beautiful. All right, next one coming in. How do I get my ex-girlfriend to pay my ex-husband to pay his half of our kids' medical bills and get him to return my portion of our stock account?
Motion for contempt, enforcement, and to compel.
Cut and dry.
Right?
Yeah.
Give us all the documents you need. Let's attach them to the folder and move along.
I feel like a lot of times it's like their opposing party or opposing counsel just doesn't want to provide because they're just like, what is this, like a petty move? Or
sometimes I think they're like, if I just don't do anything, you can't do anything. Okay, yes I can. If you participate, it's easier on you, but okay. Okay. He said he wasn't gonna do it. No problem, don't do it. I have my enforcement.
I am treading lightly because I don't know what's on the other side of this desk, so I'm gonna play it safe. Next one coming.
No, play it risky.
Next one coming in. Can adoptive parents return guardianship or parental rights to a birth parent who gave up those parental rights?
I mean, I guess there's a possibility that they could, but why would you? Why wouldn't you just let them have time and whatever?
Yeah. No takesies, backsies?
See the child and see how it goes and then kind of figure it out that way. I have a lot of questions, more than I have answers. I would have to ask a lot of questions about this situation because I don't like it.
Okay, so let's do a little role play right here. Okay, let's say I'm the father who had the drug problem, and now I've been 10 years sober. I got my life in order, and I'm ready to be back in my kid's life. And you, as the adoptive parent of the adoptive guardian of the kid, what would be your say at that point?
If I were the adoptive guardian, I would say you could visit on Saturdays and have a role in the parent's life, because that's not the law you're under unless the parent's rights were terminated by a DCF action, right? Mm-hmm. By an adverse action. But what you could do is allow them to have some Saturday visitation or see the child or be like a caretaker or a babysitter and be involved in the child's life. But you don't have to give up allowing them to take the child back. And they don't really have a good legal avenue for being able to do that.
So I guess I'm going to flip the question again. I'm going to flip that question and be like, what can I do as the guy who voluntarily terminated his parental rights? And now it's like, okay,
nothing.
There it is.
You can do nothing.
Next one coming up. Here. This is literally a follow-up to that one. I voluntarily terminated my parental rights and gave parental rights to my parents 8 years ago because I wasn't ready then. I see my child regularly and wanted to know if I could reestablish my rights. I should have looked at that.
Nothing. You can do nothing. Terminating your parental rights was permanent and irreversible, and that was probably on the document you signed.
Ooh, we got a comment coming in. Maybe they want benefits. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, but it's too bad. You can't have those benefits because you terminated your parental rights.
All right, we got 4, and then I got a quick Erin Reacts for you, Erin, because I know you have a lot on your plate, and you got to get back to work. Had a religious ceremony in a different country, never registered our marriage in USA. Do I have to file for a divorce?
You don't have to register your marriage in the United States.
Oh. So what? It never happened? Would that be it? Or
no, it happened. You have to get a divorce. You have a divorce. Okay. You have a validly recognized marriage. And if you need to address anything involved in the marriage, then you need a divorce, of course.
A divorce, of course.
But if you ever needed something like child support or time sharing,
a divorce, of course. Go to Erin Morse.
Keep yourself together.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that was just a great
I know, Mariah. I'm a hoot. But they if you need to deal with you're going to have to deal with it in a divorce setting, and if you lie to the court about being married, then you have committed fraud. So
next one coming in, here we go. Does the item now belong? Okay, so this is how she started off. Does the item belong to me?
No.
I found a phone in my truck the other morning. Turns out that my husband was with some girl that had left her phone in my truck.
No.
So the item does not belong to her.
Leaving your property somewhere, you think it means someone else gets to pick it up and own it?
What about
Is that not theft?
What about the big case of finders versus keepers?
The Supreme Court case of losers, weepers, and finders, keepers.
I mean, yeah, in appellate court, losers, weepers, state versus losers, weepers.
No, you still are committing theft, even if they forget it at your house. Patricio, if somebody forgot something in your car, do you own it? Patricio, just answer the question.
No, I do not. I was just trying to come up with something witty, but
yeah,
my wit always gets shut down like a balloon over Texas.
You're welcome.
It was in Texas. I forget.
I think it was Arizona.
It was Arizona.
Yeah. Let's keep moving.
Let's keep on going.
Yeah.
Are assets purchased during separation but before divorce subject to property division?
If you've already filed, likely not, unless they want to argue that it was marital funds were purchased. But a lot of times once you filed, because Florida does not have legal separation. So don't think just because y'all moved out, you're like, well, we separated. The court may not find that to be clear and convincing evidence of separation and may consider it to be marital.
And from there, we're going to say...
So don't buy a house until you're divorced.
With that question right there, we're going to segue into part 10 of the breakdown. And I almost forgot about the breakdown. And luckily, as the comments kept coming in, we're ready for it. Here we go. Part 10, personal property.
Includes your dog. That includes your dog. That includes your dog.
So, Erin, how does personal property a factor when it comes to a divorce proceeding?
My hope in your divorce is that I don't deal with it at all. Personal property typically refers to things that are not like a house, a vehicle of a high dollar value, right? It doesn't include your retirement account. It doesn't include your investment accounts. If you don't know what a brokerage account, instead of setting up a very expensive phone call with your lawyer, you should probably Google it. Because if you Google it and you find out what it is and then you don't know what it is, you probably don't have any. I know you know who you are. I'm talking to you. So I don't know if I have any brokerage accounts. I don't know what a brokerage account is. I'm like, then you probably don't have one. You would know. Anyway, I was like, did you try Googling it or doing it? No, I just thought I'd ask you. I'm like, that's fine. You can. I'm happy to answer it. But he spent a lot of money on that phone call. He could have Googled it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's fine. I'm happy to answer it. But he conclusion, he doesn't have any.
I'm amazed in how many voices you come up with to
to insult people.
It's not to insult, it's to tell a story, because every time that Erin either comes back from court or finishes talking to somebody over the phone, I'll just leave it there, somebody. It's either that I don't know what I'm going to do today, or I don't know if cilantro is acceptable in the parenting plan. But then you got the guy who just like, I'm just not really sure about what I'm going to do. We got to
get more of those on film.
Do I walk the dog, or do I give the dog a bath? What do I do? And
the other day I was mocking someone who annoyed me at a particularly high degree, and I won't say who this person was or what role that they play, because they would figure it out. And I know they watch these podcasts and listen to them. So anyway, I was like, and there they were, because and I did that, and then Lily comes up. Lily was standing there, and she comes over and she goes,
no.
Yeah, she mimicked me. I was like, oh, I'm teaching her now. So let me kind of get back to your personal property after being a hoot. Obviously it was somebody I was in opposition to. And that brokerage question was a pro se litigant, by the way. So I was like, did you Google it? You don't know if you have brokerage accounts. He was trying to play us. That was pretty silly. So
you can't play the Morse.
Players are going to play. So your personal property, your household furniture, your grandmother's credenza, the, memory box that you have, the Christmas decorations, all of your shoes in your closet, your toothbrush, your clothing. So typically we like to call those things like toothbrush, clothing, shoes, whatever. Those are your personal effects, but they do fall under personal property. So the same goes for anything that's in your house that isn't of incredible value, right? So we usually will distribute and deal with vehicles. We'll usually distribute and deal with credit card debt. We'll usually distribute and deal with intangible financials, right? So things that you can't put your fingers on. But I usually don't deal with like the bedroom set unless a party really needs us to, right? Say you have such a large house that maybe you want everything in the house that's in Windermere, right? And he wants everything in the house that's in Delray Beach, right? Though that would make sense that you kind of deal with it that way, that all of that personal property and furniture. Your furniture is probably not as valuable as you think it is, right? On the Antique Roadshow,
I love
they
those.
probably would come back and be like, this has no value, because how you value personal property is what you could sell it for, what you could sell it for on Facebook Marketplace, at a yard sale, Antiques Roadshow, something like that. So if it doesn't have an incredible amount of value in that arena, you typically don't have your attorney deal with it. I typically don't go to court on it because, the cost outweighs the benefit of getting it back.
Yeah.
So that's really how we deal with your personal property. The hope is that you and your spouse, because we don't deal with it in paternity cases. So if you have any type of personal property asset liability issue, your paternity case ain't the place to do it. But in a divorce, we will deal with it.
Okay.
So your answer to personal property is maybe I'll deal with it, but maybe not. Hopefully the two of you can be mature enough and figure out if you want the bed that you and your soon-to-be ex-spouse slept in, or the fact that your children will now need 2 furniture sets. So if one of you moves out, one of you is going to have to replace that furniture and start from scratch. It's easy enough.
I'm about to knock 2 birds with 1 stone, Erin.
Don't throw stones in a glass house. You're already looking sweaty. Just kidding. He's not. I don't know why. You just end up being like the butt of these jokes.
I know.
That has nothing to do with you.
I know. But you remember how we got some questions that we were going to answer? Or you want to do these off? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So, okay, perfect. I'm just confirming that the person that who's going to be watching this was going to be able to get their responses properly. Yeah, so making sure you're watching. Okay, she's on. All right, sweet. We are doing this. All right, so we got some pretty cool questions.
Let's do it live.
Let's do it live, Evan. And it's actually pretty cool because it has to do with questions about debt and divorce. So let me put that up on the screen because we deal with a lot of divorce at the law office of Erin Morse, 407-900-7451.
Of course.
Debt and divorce. All right, cool. So here we go. Question number 1, Erin. Can debt incur prior to the marriage ever becoming marital debt that both parties can be responsible for paying during a divorce?
Maybe kinda. One of the ways is sorry, I'm working. One of the ways that can happen is if you say it's a credit card and you keep using the credit card or you add your spouse to the account, then you've kind of commingled it in the same way. Oh, no. Usually that doesn't happen as often with debt, but it could. If you were to commingle it in the same way that you would commingle an asset, a very strong argument could be made that commingling makes it marital and that they would be responsible for that debt. But other things that were acquired before the marriage and really didn't get commingled, then no, it would remain non-marital.
Now, since
like student loans are a good example of that.
Now, since you only practice here in the state of Florida, there was a follow-up to this one. It's like, would this be limited to community property states?
I don't know what a community property state does and what that means.
There
I
you-
do a little bit, but I think in a community property state, what might happen, and I don't know, I'm not licensed there. I'm just guessing. So I have about the same amount of information as somebody who did a Google search. So my understanding of a community property state is all the debt that exists at the time of the divorce ends up being something marital. Maybe that's the rule. Maybe it's not. But that sounds like it sucks.
I thought you were going to do the whole departed thing. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe. All right. Here's the next question. What steps can people take with joint credit cards and other joint loans or accounts prior to filing for a divorce to make the process easier?
Pay them off.
Very simple.
If they don't exist, then it's not an issue to be litigated.
Now, let's say, for example, during right before they're about to file, but like it's like $15,000-$30,000 that they're in debt. Would that debt roll over into the marriage, or if just one person was the one who was responsible for that debt?
Say that again.
All right. So let's say, for example, the question here: what steps can people take with joint credit cards and other joint loans prior to filing for a divorce?
Paid off.
Paid off. Now, let's say they're in the process of paying it off, and then boom, wife filed for the divorce. It's like, no, I'm still working on this, like, because it's a large amount.
Well, here's something that's interesting.
Uh-oh.
I had a case like this where the husband was like, I don't think I should have to pay her alimony. Imagine that all the circumstances and check boxes are there that she would be entitled to alimony. Financials, all the good reasons, right? So accept that premise in this conversation. Well, he said in open court that he'd be willing to take on all of the marital debt because he's been working and has paid most of it off, that he'd be willing to take the rest of the marital debt to not have to have alimony. Now, what's stupid is you say that in mediation, because you could make that argument in mediation and see if they would agree, because mediation is confidential and that offer in mediation stays confidential. However, when you went to court and you said you'd be willing to do that, the judge went, you said you'd be willing to do that, but if you didn't have alimony. However, I find that you have an alimony obligation. So I'm going to give you the debt that you're willing to take and an alimony obligation. Excellent. Sounds like everyone's comfortable with this.
Funny world.
You played yourself, right? He said it. I don't think his attorney was expecting him to elicit it. His attorney was a great attorney. He just kind of spit it out that I'll take it if I don't have to have alimony. The judge was like, well, I'm not ordering no alimony, but I'll give you all the debt, especially because you make more money.
Yeah. So
this makes sense to me. I was like, yeah. And she got the boat. You know why she ended up getting the boat in that case? Obviously, it wasn't her boat. It was a husband's boat, typically. Yeah. Was because he went to court and he went, I don't know how much it's worth.
Oh.
And she went and she knew how much it was worth. She did the research to figure it out. She got the boat.
Let's get us a freaking boat. I got two more for you, Erin. Next one coming up. And it actually kind of rolls into what we were just talking about. What should someone do if their ex isn't keeping up with their debt payments despite a divorce decree?
Motion for contempt and enforcement. Depending on what it is, alimony and child support can be enforced by contempt. Equitable distribution cannot.
With the microphone. There you go.
Equitable distribution can't be enforced by contempt.
So
enforcement.
All right. Hopefully she got that one. And then we got the last one coming in. Financial. And this is one that, like, when
you could flip it to a judgment and go after him with a judgment.
And that one would be with the collections attorney, right? To be able to seize the assets in a way.
But you'll have to take some action in the divorce case to flip it to a judgment.
All right. So the final one that we got right here: financial infidelity is common in marriages. Any advice on someone who gets blindsided by their partner's debt during
divorced.
A divorce?
Too bad. Sorry.
So at that point, like, are they basically? Is there anything like you would advise them to do at that point?
Just file for divorce. Make sure that filing date exists, so that the debt doesn't continue to creep up. You're going to have to deal with it somehow. I'm sure that you could make some arguments, but the I didn't know about it isn't a viable one.
I mean, there are a lot. I don't want to say like there are a lot of times, but I know Hollywood put this out there, and that people were funneling money, or there were gambling debts or things like that, and they were under the impression that there was money, and now when the divorce comes in, there's nothing there. Like it's completely wiped out because of that individual's debts.
Right. And there is often, I've had a judge order that she believed the husband did that on purpose, that it was by design, that there was no assets and all debt. I'm like, meaning he paid off the debt that they incurred during the marriage? Yeah. Sounds like it makes sense to me. He sold their vacation or second home and then paid off all their debts. So they both owned their cars free and clear, and paid off all their debts, including student loans. I'm like, this makes sense. I'm like, it could have been done by a mathematical calculation with you, by making her take certain debts, him take certain debts, and then giving her an asset. Or there could just be kind of very little left over, and he already handled it directly with the creditors. That makes sense to me. I don't know. It feels simple.
If it's simple. All right. So hopefully we were able to answer those questions for you. If not, the comment is still you could throw in a comment in there, or a question into our comment section, because right now I need to get Erin's reaction, and I really haven't talked to her about this since it happened. But real quick, Erin, did you get the chance to watch the Super Bowl this past weekend?
I did.
How? What was your take on the Super Bowl?
It was.
I mean, none of your teams were in there.
No, my teams weren't in there.
Brady wasn't playing.
He doesn't even play anymore, at least for now.
And all in all, I the only reason why I watch the Super Bowl, unless there's no chance in hell the Bears are going to make it to the Super Bowl, but the one thing that I take away from the Super Bowl is the halftime show and the commercials during the Super Bowl. Now, my thing, what was your take on Rihanna's performance?
I love Rihanna. Yeah. I love everything about her.
As there's nothing we could.
Nearly my whole face of makeup is Fenty.
Is it really?
Yeah. Yeah. I really, really love Rihanna. And her makeup is amazing. Yeah. I thought she did great. She was very pregnant, and she was 50 feet up in the air.
Yeah.
Dancing. And if anybody has to say that that wasn't good enough, where is the expectations? Right? I for a show she didn't get paid for.
So during the halftime show, everyone because I was at a Super Bowl party, and we're like, is she pregnant? That was just the one thing that we were like, is she pregnant? Who's the guest? Because every time there's a performance,
Fenty makeup was her guest.
we were all making the joke during the performance that she's gonna pull the baby out of somewhere, and boom, yeah, the baby's gonna be the guest at the Super Bowl halftime show. Of course, that's crazy, but I mean,
it kind of could have been cool.
It would have.
I guess the baby was the guest. She was pregnant.
But as I'm nearing what I want to get your reaction to, but also Nick Jonas's commercial about diabetes. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just shocked about Nick Jonas having diabetes. I know that's weird, but I couldn't stop. I'm like, holy crap, Nick Jonas has diabetes.
How many celebrities' medical history do you know?
I don't.
Right.
And that was just a pretty weird thing, and it was a pretty weird thing to do for a Super Bowl commercial, and Nick Jonas talking about
why? What if he's passionate about it?
Cool.
It is kind of a bit of a surging disease.
It is.
That needs a lot of care. I know a lot of people who have it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's wild. I think it's a good thing if he's passionate about it and it's something that he has. Also, music doesn't make that much money, the music itself, right? So they have to make money elsewhere, endorsements, and that is part of their career, and that is part of them being, keeping themselves relevant.
So the one thing that I took away from the Super Bowl, and I was losing my mind, and I'm going to put it up on the screen in just a moment, because you and I have a pretty decent love and affection for superheroes, right? And I think you know where I'm going with this one, right? Here we go. And let me just pull this up. And the fact that Michael Keaton is returning as Batman.
I feel some type of way about it.
What?
I like Ben Affleck, so I'm not, and he's old. Batman's in like his 30s and 40s.
No, so I
well, Batman is typically portrayed in his 30s and 40s.
Yes.
The storyline typically doesn't take him into, I don't know, what is it, Michael Keaton? How old is he?
So Michael Keaton is 71.
Yeah. Batman doesn't, someone who lives like that doesn't live into their 70s.
And
come on, he lives hard.
I'm letting it play right now, because it's the fact that he says, I'm Batman, and they play a little bit like the original
like,
score.
or you were.
I'm still Batman. But on top of that, I want to show you a little clip from this trailer.
Like, you're beyond retirement age, sir. Retire.
So right here, Erin, and I don't know if I'm wrong or not, but isn't that the motorcycle from The Dark Knight Rises?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I don't know. I'm not as like know every rule, know every. I just like them. I just watch them. I don't study every detail.
I'm taking it off because it's basically, I think, DC's response to how Marvel used the whole multiverse and how they were able to bring back all the 3 actors who played Spider-Man in the series. I think they're kind of doing the same thing with the Flash's paradox and bringing in all the Batmans, which I think would be.
They've only brought in one other Batman.
Well, no, in this one, you because we see Ben Affleck and we also see Michael Keaton.
And I like Ben.
You like Ben? I don't like. I'm not.
Well, he's not your hometown hero, and he is mine. And I'm not happy about the fact that Henry Cavill isn't Superman.
Yeah.
Because the Supermans with Henry Cavill were like a biopic. Come on. Doesn't he look exactly like Superman? You think Henry Cavill doesn't look exactly like Superman?
Can I answer the question? I
do it faster.
Yes. He makes a great Superman, great shape, great acting.
It's beautiful. Great.
Erin, as we're wrapping up, what are your final thoughts before we get out of here?
Call me Henry. Call me Henry. Yeah. My final thoughts are, with regard to your personal property, typically lawyers don't deal with it. I don't often have clients who come up to me and ask, but I've had a few. I've had obviously plenty of them ask. In general, when they're like, when are we going to deal with who gets the bed set and the couches and the TVs? I'm like, hopefully the two of you can deal with that. But if the two of you are not acrimonious enough and you don't have it within you to figure that out, then we can deal with it. So you'll have to make a list of all of the things that you own and what you believe their value is, as you could sell it on Facebook Marketplace, if you could sell it on Craigslist, if you could sell it at a yard sale. So come up with the value of those things, and because we don't even usually list all of them on your financial affidavit.
Know yourself, know your worth. All right. 407-900-7451. If you'd like to set up a consultation with Attorney Morse, go to morse-firm.com. You can do it virtually right there as well. Also, go to check out on any podcast platform for Legal Morse of Action, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, Spreaker, iHeart. We're all over the place. Even Google Podcasts, we're out there. So check it out. Legal Morse of Action. Follow, subscribe, follow our TikTok. Just go to morse-firm.com/podcast, and you'll see the links to everything we do. With that being said, y'all have a beautiful weekend. The views and opinions of this show are of those. You know what?
Just whatever. Don't do that. This ain't legal advice.
Don't do anything stupid.
You got to pay for that.
Yeah. Bye.